Our next topic is on building a positive attitude. Well, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right again. Yes, your attitude decides the outcome of your life. Well, before we get into what is positive attitude all about and how can we build a positive attitude, let's first find out what is the meaning and nature of attitude. If I look at the term attitude, it basically defines how I feel about a person, an object, a place, a commodity, a memory, a life event. So my attitude is how I feel or my outlook towards a certain object or a situation. If I look at the nature of attitude, attitude can be, it affects behavior, it is invisible, it is pervasive, and it is acquired. Now, what does each of these mean? When I say attitude affects behavior, it means that my attitude is more than likely to influence or will lead to intended behavior, unless, of course, there is external intervention. Now, to understand this better, let's look at the example of the tip of the iceberg model of self. We all know what an iceberg is. If I look at an iceberg closely, it's interesting to know that the iceberg that is visible on the surface, above the surface of the sea level, is barely 10 to 20%. And the major portion of the iceberg is below the surface of the sea level or below the surface of the water, which is not really visible. Now, if I compare this to the process of conditioning, self-conditioning, the 80% or the 90% of the iceberg, which is below the surface of the sea level, comprises your social conditioning while you were growing up, your values, your attitudes, your thought process, some cultural norms that you follow, your attitude, your general outlook towards certain things. The remaining 10 to 20% of the iceberg, that is the tip of the iceberg which is above the surface of the sea level, that is your behavior. Now, that is visible to others. My behavior is visible to others. So it's very easy for me to modify my behavior, which is visible to others, but it is very tough to modify my attitude, which is below the surface of the sea. We'll dwell on this further in the coming sessions. Next, when I say attitude is invisible, yes, attitude is invisible. That means you can't really observe a person's attitude directly. However, you can certainly observe a person's attitude indirectly by observing the consequences. For example, if someone is really productive, we can infer that the person has a very positive outlook or has a very positive attitude towards his or her work. That means attitude is invisible. Third, when I say attitude is acquired, well, you don't develop your attitude overnight. Your attitude that you form is a part of your growing up process. It is a part of your conditioning, your social conditioning process, and you take that general outlook towards different things in life into your adulthood. When I say attitude is acquired, attitude is also acquired through our parents, our mentors, our teachers. Now, that is why most child psychologists dwell on the fact that your parents, as parents, while raising your children, you need to have a positive attitude. Here, I don't mean that you pretend to have a positive attitude if you're upset about something, because children in the family tend to sense that first. So, attitude is acquired. The fourth point, when we say attitude, is pervasive. Now, even though a part of my social conditioning or a part of my growing up process leads me to have a certain attitude, it is not permanent. Yes, it is tough to change my overall outlook towards life or towards things in general. However, it's not permanent. It's not tough to change my attitude. It needs a lot of effort to change your attitude. A change in attitude would certainly be a change, would lead to a change in behavior. However, that change in behavior might just be temporary. I'll give you an example. Say I'm part of a social group, or I'm a part of a friend circle, and all of them engage in, say one of them engages in smoking or drinking, just to be a part of the larger friend circle, I engage in social drinking. Hypothetically, I engage in social drinking once in a while. But my attitudes and my values, I strongly believe that getting addicted to these things or substance abuse can be very harmful, and I'm totally against it. So even though there was behavior modification in one situation, it may not necessarily mean that there has been a change in my attitude. I might be very productive one day at work because there was a training session that broke the monotony of work. So I was very productive that one day. So that led to a behavior modification. However, if my general outlook or my attitude towards my work is negative, I am bound to display that in my work.